But do you understand what should be done here?
I think so.
Mm.
So we're on now. Anyhow.
Streaming has started. Hello.
All right. All right. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening. Depends on what time it is over there. Today I have with me Chukwuka, who is a product designer, and I also have Simeon, who is a product designer. I myself also happen to be a product designer, and this is a conversation between us who are members of IDF. Want to see how we have been able to apply UX principles to our wonderful context here. So I always tell Chukwuka, or I always tell my friends that most of the stuff we read and study when it comes to like UX laws and principles, once it's time to apply them, we kind of see or kind of run into problems that were not specifically like stated in maybe the resources we read and studied, right? So this is going to be us just sharing stories about things or problems we encountered and how we're able to solve it. So I would like each Chukwuka and Senior to do quick self-introductions about themselves, and then I'll start off by asking questions, and then conversation will begin. Chukwuka, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. Hi guys. Is there like a specific format of introduction, or you just want us to freestyle?
Yeah, to start, yes. Oh,
Okay. Cool. I'm a product designer. Uh, I work at a couple of places. um, make you look us for I work at a couple of places. uh, I mean, in my spare time, I sleep and basically just watch like anime and sleep. I know media gets mad that the only way I think that I can
I
unwind is
mean,
by sleeping, but I mean that's like the best way to live life, sleep. um, what else do you want to know? I was born and brought up in the good way. Um, I moved to Lagos in 2017. I learned graphic design in 2012. I learned from a friend and eventually transitioned to product design full time. I actually wanted to learn front end, and then I had a discussion with like a career counselor, and he was like, "Okay, you know what? Since you have a design background, you should try product design. If you don't like it, then you can always go back to front end." And that was actually the first time in my life that I heard about product design, right? So
mm,
um, I tried it. I had the guy who taught me actually read product design, BSc in UK, and he also did his masters in business innovation and design, something like that. So for the most part, he actually spent a lot of time teaching me like business UX as opposed to UI. He didn't spend so much time teaching me UI because he felt that I already had like some knowledge since I was a graphic designer ish. I wasn't doing graphic design professionally actually. It was just for um, play. I just did design for play. I never really charged anybody a dime for my designs at the end. I started officially charging for design when I transitioned to product design. So yeah, I think that's like brief introduction.
I man.
all right.
Talk or not talk. Hi,
Ah,
my
it's
name
you
is
now.
Simeon. Hi, my name is Simeon. I'm product designer. I'm studying. I'm currently doing my master's in user experience design and IT architecture. So my master's
Oh,
program is
man.
like Some people don't need these masters. Chukuka, you don't need to do masters in this thing. If anyone else don't they teach us or do guest lecturer.
Also,
Well, someone's at the door. Godson is joining us. He's joining through the link. Well, let's continue, please.
Okay. So my program is like 50-60% design, a little bit in business, business programming, and like different bits in computer science, AI, machine learning algorithms and stuff like that. So the program is just to give you a well-rounded edge in design, sort of. So that's like before my masters, I actually doing product design for I'll say close to 2 years. Prior to that, then graphic design before that. I actually have a background in development, and I still code. So, but I think I was just so I'll say I design more than I code, but I still code even for school. So. Yeah, I think that's all.
Okay. So, aside from your Simeon, what was basic understanding of your design, right? What were the challenges you faced when it came to localizing your solution? So let's take accessibility, for instance. Where's some of the accessibility problems you actually encountered? I'm not talking about the basic stuff like contrast ratio and stuff like taking problem definition of who you are providing solution for into context. What are some of the things you encountered?
Okay, personally, I would say that most of the products I've designed like before school are products that were not really used in Nigeria. Just like maybe one or two that was in Nigeria. And most of them were not catering to the audiences that were, I think in Nigeria, like people find it more comfortable building for people that are already available as opposed to going to source for people that are not readily available, sort of. But I would say one thing that I've seen that is important, or I think that most people miss, is actually when, like, I think they call it body storming. Yeah, I think if I still remember the name from my classes. Body storming is just like brain. Is it brain? Yeah, I think
brain dump.
No. It's like when you're thinking as the person, but instead of you thinking.
We like role play.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So you actually being in such situations, like I think that is like one of the biggest ways of doing research in Nigeria, because if they say if you don't know where everybody they pinch person, you know if you know which medicine to give out.
Sure.
So I say for us it's easy, like in developed countries, to design solutions without actually doing this like role playing or actually going to actually the physical locations, because most of this data are already somehow arranged or collected already, as opposed to us where we have little or no data when designing. There's little or no reference points for some kind of designs, and you actually have to get it yourself. So I'll say like body, what's it called? You actually being in the situation yourself is like is the most important one that you can. That I say is the biggest form of research you can either do in Nigeria or like in most some parts of Africa. You've seen how the farmer is going to use the application that is supposed to count the number of eggs, and not just in your app and say there'll be a plus button. If you press it once, it will add one. If you press it twice, it will add two. Like that, you're going to see what the paper person is actually writing on the paper. You're seeing how they are moving these products from one place to another. I think that is actually the biggest way to actually do research for us.
Awesome. What about you, Junka? It seems Senior has a pretty privileged approach so far. Senior, you have to check your privilege.
You have to suffer small.
You have to suffer small. My next Nigeria project are working with me. Are working with me on it. End to end. What about you, Sharon? I know you have tales.
My brother, some very terrible things have happened. Terrible things have happened. I mean, but I think so. For me, this there's this thing that we do where when you're doing like personas, right? You sort of assume stuff, right? So like a pre-persona or something. There's another word for it, but I can't remember. So let's just call it
Proto
a
persona.
persona, a proto-persona. Thank you very much. So you sort of like assume to the best of your knowledge what's the attributes and behaviors of your ideal user should be or is, right? And a lot of the time, we underplay the ability of, okay, so speaking from my experience, so that it doesn't look like I'm generalizing, I built, for the most part of 2019 and 2020, right? I worked on products for um, veterinary doctors and farmers, right? And something that I learned is even though they use WhatsApp, Facebook, right? They use the normal apps on their phones, like the messaging app, the phone call app. It does not necessarily mean that they are very good at using technology, right? So certain decisions that you might make because you feel that they can use WhatsApp, they can use Facebook, they can use their phone app. I certain decisions that you just make and you be like, okay, I made the perfect decision. Like, this cannot go wrong. And then you put it in front of them, and somebody is asking you, and somebody is telling you, what what do I do now? Or somebody is telling you, I'm supposed to be seeing this thing, but I'm not seeing what it is actually right in front of them, right? That's so to make it easier, I had to make everything like I had to spell out everything, right? This thing where when you're designing, maybe you have your icons and you don't bother to label them, or there are some things that you probably just assume that they would know because it is their field or something. Truth is, not everybody might know that every time, right? So I had to spell out a lot of those things. It was now looking like the product was so information um, intensive. Like there was a lot of information. And funny enough, that was how they liked it. They liked the fact that there was a lot of information. Me, I would look at it and I'd be like, man, this thing can be easier or simpler or something. But they actually wanted all that information. They wanted it. They needed it, right? To be able to effectively and properly use it. Don't get me wrong, there were actually people that were able to use the product without, you know, that could be able to use that product without all those information and all that. But like you were talking about like inclusion, right? And basically things that I've learned. So yeah, I had to um learn to spell out everything, like actually spell out everything. Yeah, just to make sure that um the greater percentage of my users, or if not all my users, are able to use product. That's like very,
Okay.
very important. Yeah. I think um there was, when OP came out and OP had like all these things on their home screen. When you open the app and you open the home screen, you see like a lot of
Yeah.
actions and a lot of things that you can do, right? And I was working on an app around the same time, and I tried to keep it very simple, right? And then I had like another page that had like a list of actions, that people could take, basically about 10-ish actions, right? But none of those actions were on the home screen. I just had like a different tab for them. So if you like open the app, you have like the home, then you have like tools, right? I named that tab tools. And then when you go to the tools page, right, you can have like all those things. I actually worked on that product in Making, by the way. So I went for some usability tests. Actually went to farms. I went to meet farmers, farms, and even though they knew that there was a tools page, they still looked for tools on the home screen, right? I was trying to keep it simple, but they were like, no, I want to see everything. I want to see everything. Once I open it, I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see everything. And I'm like, interesting, right? So I didn't just take their word for it. I also like observed, right? And a lot of the time, when they actually go to the tools screen and they do what they want to do, and maybe for the next task, they still have to use a particular tool to do something. They still stayed on the home screen for long, looking for, the tool, right? So I made a quick change. I had like two to three of those tools, and then I had a more button that took them to the tools page, and it actually worked. Like they knew that they could swipe, right? Because I made it like a horizontal scroll kind of thing. So they knew that they could swipe. So if the task was, if the task they wanted to do, if the tool for a particular task wasn't among the three, they instinctively they actually clicked on more instead of going to the tab, instead of like tapping the tab button, at the middle of the screen, actually went to more, and they were actually more comfortable and more efficient going that route than actually just going, than actually just tapping like the tools button on the tab, tools tab, and going to that page. They actually enjoyed and were more efficient with the second implementation. And then there was a place where I didn't have an image, it was just information. And they were like, when they get to that page, they always pause. So I asked, why did you pause? What are you looking for? What were you expecting? Did you expect something different? What's happening? And they go, this doesn't look like a poetry farm app. I'm like, okay, why would you say that? Like, there's no image to show that the poetry farm app. There are actually images, but so I had articles, right? And each of those articles had poetry images. But the thing is, you have to scroll. When you open your phone now, there are like a lot of things. You have top tab, some kind, welcome XYZ person, blah blah blah, different sections, right? Then there's now the article section. So they're like, no, once I open the app, I want to know that it's a poetry app, right? And I was just like, God, which kind of trouble is this now? Right? And then I put an image of a chicken. So once you open the app, once you open the home screen, I put an image of a chicken there with some text on it. And then I tried the text again with different set of people. And they were like, so I tried the text with a different set of people just to be sure that, okay, if I've solved for the problem. And the first person that I used it, immediately he opened the app. He's like, oh wow, this is a poetry app. Nice. Does it do only poetry? I'm like, yes, for now. Okay. Like, okay, cool. I like the image here. It actually just tells me that this is a poetry app. All the ones that I've downloaded, they don't have something like this. Like, okay.
You have to be very descriptive.
Interesting. Yeah, you have to be very descriptive. So another thing again that would blow your mind is certain products. In fact, a few products in Nigeria, they have this, when you go to their contractors on their mobile app, they have this format that they do where they maybe show you the map, show you phone numbers to call, or show you their Twitter, Facebook. They have like their Twitter, Facebook, Instagram icons and follow or something. I did that. I actually wanted to experiment and find out if having a contractors page that way was actually a good way to go about it. Of course, it might be a good way for the person to go about it for their audience, which is the audience of this product is actually like millennials and people with savvy, basically people that are like tech, that use like technology and press phone a lot, right? I was just curious because people keep referencing products. No, let's make it look like this product. This product, they have killed it. I just got fed up. I didn't want to argue anymore. I was tired of explaining that, look, your audience is different. I was just tired. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's just experiment and see. So I put it, I had a task where I said, you have XYZ challenge and you need to reach out to customer care, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah. Do that, blah, 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 blah. And I tested it. I tested with about 8 people, right? All 8 people, whenever they got to the contact us page or the screen, they paused and they were like, and they asked me, what do I do now? I'm like, you tell me. And they're like, this is not, I don't know what to do. This does not make sense. I'm like, okay, what do you expect to find? And they tell me, oh, I just needed a place to put my name and put my problem and send.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, right. So yeah, I think I'll just cut to the story. I'll cut the story.
You're a man who has been on the field. You don't see, you don't enter street. You don't enter street. You don't enter street. That's pretty good.
Unlike some
I mean,
privileged people.
like a privileged people like you. I'm even trying to realize that I'm privileged right now. By the time I actually had issues. I mean, I've actually actually designed the problem and realized I was not solving a problem for anyone, which is that's terrible. So let's not get to that too. But actually had something across the way. So what I designed was during the pandemic, right? But mostly during the pandemic, and I was in my testing remotely, and it's a Web 2 print platform. And basically, um, it's already an existing platform, and I got to know start to do my normal UX audits and all of that, right? And it turns out that I was thinking maybe it was too information heavy, right? So I went to the page where that seems to have every information that's there. And it turns out that people were calling a lot to something like the question you're asking, every information you want on the page, right? So people actually call and say, they can say, oh, this paper that you're printing, or what's the dimension? The dimension is listed there. You get. So it was basically having to do visual hierarchy, right? And then like we created a page, did visual hierarchy, and then tested with users. And when we're done on that page, at least we're going to say that okay, we're able to get that particular information. And the next thing was turns out that one of the things people look out for when they are ordering products for some reason, the first thing that they are looking for is shipping. Right? It's not something I look for, right? Shipping usually comes after for me in my head. But since it's a deal breaker apparently. So when we're presenting products to them, when you get to the product page, it was essential that I had to display the type of shipping available. Right? And I mean, it showed me, it reminded me in that when I'm not designing for myself, I'm designing for people, right? And talking to them, it kind of unearths um, problems that you never imagined would be there. Case in point for uh, when Shaiwan and I went, when Shaiwan was in Kaduna last year, remember when we went to do some medical
Yeah,
visual research on those hospitals?
yeah.
No, during the design class in Kaduna here, right? Also I gave the students similar problems, and it turns out that it's the main issue is not just of the HMOs themselves. The hospitals also have their own shortcomings, right? In the sense that you could have one part where it is, or the hospitals are actually giving the wrong prescription and saying, not wrong prescription, like writing down the wrong prescription. For example, they say they give you Panadol. They can say they give you Lunat, right? But they give you Panadol, right? It turns out it was a transparency issue. That means most of how we saw the problem based on that research was killed because we mostly went to the hospitals and like, oh, what's the problem exactly? So we explained the HMO problems they had, right? We also had to know what the HM problems the HMOs were facing also. And it turns out it can make more sense to build in a way where it is. It's more like building transparency, right? It's not just building one platform where hospitals can plug in, right? Which is what we thought based on that research we did. But now it's not about building a platform where both the hospitals and then the HMOs easily see what is going on. That is something that research unearths for you. Well, going further, right? So I've talked about our users, right? Let's scale things back to teams. What are the challenges you have experienced working with teams here, taking into consideration context? So let's do the like popular one is design thinking. How everything I've heard in design thinking to is theoretical and nice. How have you applied design thinking when it comes to working with your teams in Nigeria? Or well, I'm going to start from Chukwuka because I mean he has worked in Nigerian teams. Simeon is a privileged in-house designer. Like, what are the parts? Give me an example of the bits of design thinking that seems pretty nice on paper, but when it comes to application here, it doesn't work for you.
Hmm. Ideas. So what's possible ideas? So there's a is it a tool now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those nomenclatures sharp. But basically, in design thinking, in the ideation phase now, you have something called what's possible ideas, right? And a couple of times I tried this, I had to keep explaining to participants that please don't shut the other person down. This is called what's possible ideas so that you can bring out any nonsense that is in your head. But you don't have to do
break somebody's head.
because somebody says XYZ and somebody just spontaneously says, that doesn't make sense now. Did you get like no, this is a safe space. So yeah, I think that is like one of the places that I've had challenges. Then what other thingy? Maybe not design thinking, but more like a research method, right? Called contextual inquiry,
Okay.
where basically you just some kind of similar to what Simon pointed out, like is the same anyway, similar kind of. You go out, actually go to the field, actually go. So if you are researching, right, or you're working on a product for farmers, for example, actually going to the farm and actually joining them in doing what they do, right, and asking questions as you do that, just to immerse yourself in the context and understand, you know, have a have a personal understanding, right, in the moment understanding. Yeah, I think in the moment is the right word. In the moment understanding of how they do things there. It's easier to ginger in the office. The problem is that when you reach to come out, okay, sorry, let me switch back to English. The problem is actually when it gets to going out. And you now maybe get there and you see that this work is I have to get in my hands or maybe the kit of that day, you or your shoe, your jean, thinking that you just want to still be as a dope researcher and taking notes, you understand? And you don't know that when you get there, when you get there, you feed chickens, you pick eggs, right? And your body will smell like
that's the work, Coco. That's the work. That's the contextual. That one there, you are there.
Yes.
Get your hands dirty.
And then I mean, I did that. I went with a colleague of mine. I went with a few colleagues actually, and all of them, only one person followed me. The rest, they just stood outside and just put their hands like this. And they are just watching. Right? Even the other,
Abi, you are the designer.
yeah, even my boss, I was there. hey, now you be the designer. You're the designer, so take points, right? You don't have to go do the dirty work. So yeah, it's easy to ginger for something like that, but actually having people follow through and commit, like actually commit to it is the problem.
Mm.
Uh, I think for the most part that's it. Uh, what else? What else? What else? Maybe voting. Maybe voting in the office, like dot voting, for example, where when you come up with the ideas, you now have people vote for the ideas that they like, right, or they don't like, something like that. And you have people um, kind of what we faced at the hospital, where if there's a figurehead or if they look up to somebody, they kind of don't want to. They kind of don't want to
Tell him that what he said is
maybe
rubbish.
have a head, you understand, or clash.
They,
So you
already,
have
they cannot
people
even stick to their
just
own
chilling,
opinions.
yeah, just chilling first to hear what Chooks will say, or what COO will say, or what CEO will say, or what the person who they look up to, would say or would vote for. And you have some people like, yeah, I agree. Don't agree. Say no. I'm looking for people to say no. I'm not looking for people to say yes all the time, right? So that like a few, and I think it has to do with not just. I think it has to do with like the environment and your culture, right? I participated in something, and this was like really mature people, right? Like really, really mature people, like CEOs, everybody in that, um, what's the word? Everybody in that program, right?
Mhm.
We're all founders. Was, there was nobody there that wasn't a founder. They're all founders, right? And they did a couple of exercises, and you still see that thing happen, right? Where some people are just chilling first, for the people that know book, and then they just follow the people that know book, right? So I didn't understand what I mean. So it's I feel like it's a cult, it's an environment thing and maybe a culture thing. I don't know. Um, that
Don't you think it's
just
so you don't think it's a
happens to talk
personality,
with
you don't
us.
think it's a personality thing, you think it's more
Yeah,
of this is my
I mean,
organ,
so
so let my organ talk first.
I don't know if it's a personal. It can be a personality thing, but also um, a huge part of our personalities, right, form when while we're growing,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
if while you are growing, you actually stayed in an environment that encourages you to not give a damn about what somebody older than you says, or do not give a damn about what the person that knows book says, and to always speak your mind and have like strong opinions. It kind of becomes part of you, right? And it becomes part of your personality. So even when you're grown and you're working,
Mhm.
it just there are things that we just do unconsciously, continuously, right?
Mhm.
So people who keep quiet-ish a lot, it might not be it might not just be their personality, it might just be the environment they found themselves growing up, right? I wasn't
Mhm.
so I'm going to use myself as an example. Growing up, I wasn't the type for if I don't know, I just if I like I hardly engaged, I was just chilled on my own. But it did not mean that I didn't know book. I knew book. I mean, to a considerable extent, I'm doing okay today. So I know books to that extent. So, but when I started working with people and teams and superiors and management and all that, I had to learn to speak my mind. It didn't come easy. It doesn't come easy for me, or it didn't come easy for me at the beginning. And even now, there are there are people that there are people that I would be in their presence, and it won't come so easy. for me to speak my mind, but I will still try to speak my mind, right? So I'm learning that, and that is because I know that I need that to go far in my career. There are people that I've worked with that if you keep 5 meetings, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, throughout that 5 meetings, you nobody hear that voice. They won't even cough. They just be breathing in that meeting. Do you understand? And then when you have conversations with them after the meeting, they'll now be giving you some very good points that they should have said in the meeting.
During the meeting.
Right? They should have said in the meeting. In fact, there was this one time a guy actually wrote on paper and gave to me. And I'm like, no, talk. He said, no, he doesn't want to talk. I know you have to talk. Like, it's all right. Like this.
Off the top of my head, right? This is a design problem already. This itself is a design problem, right? So how do you design a safe environment where everyone can speak, voice their opinion? I think using the word voice their opinions might using voice their opinion might be a long shot. But what if we could, in a way, have, should I say, anonymous forums, like we're live there, right? We're supposed to have those kind of sessions, right? Where people are supposed to voice their opinions and say stuff. But we have like a digital place where it's not your real name, it's anonymous, and then you can actually type out your questions and have conversations, and then maybe it appears on the board with a little delay, so that we don't know that, oh, now this person typing name. Do you get? So like I'm this just off the top of my head. But I feel anonymity makes people bolder. No matter who you are, it makes people makes shy people bold to speak their truth. It also makes some people vulgar and vile. But the point is, at the end of the day, anonymity makes people bolder, right? People do stuff on their burner accounts that they can't do on their real accounts. So I'm thinking we should be able to. Simeon is smiling a slight smile. I know you have a burner. I know you have a burner. So I believe that is a way to solve for that, because it's a serious problem. I'm particularly fortunate to work, like, I mean, in Nigeria, right? But in places where we're allowed to voice our opinions and have conversations. I believe it could attribute it to having people who are progressive as founders as my bosses, and also just people who have experienced like differently and found out that you can get more things done if you allow the people who work for you, that's the engine of your company, speak their mind freely and voice their opinions without feeling judged or feeling like their paycheck is
for the
going to be
deducted.
Yeah.
For the interview one, I would say that because of the play on, so yeah, like even if I work for you, like where I work, like you see people doing meetings and like, no. I'm like, okay, let me be coming now first. I'm just here 2 months. But I'll say for the interview one, I'll say that's why I don't really think doing group interviews actually really work. Focus groups work for us a lot. I think it's something that does not really play well with our culture, the way people, like the way we are being perceived and all. So I think that one alone is just something that you actually definitely get on quality answers, if there's anything like that. You get on quality responses. You're better off doing one-on-one interviews and getting better responses than actually doing focus groups. The another one that is highly debatable is wireframes. I personally still think I personally still think that when it comes to working with teams, wireframes doesn't really. So it's just good for people that have a pictorial mind. So if you cannot imagine or conjure pictures in your head, that means the wireframe is take.
using what presenting wireframes to your team versus anybody when you're working with Nigerians is a no.
Yeah,
Because
like for me,
I remember the time I actually went low. That's what I do most of the time. I jump straight to high fidelity, right? I presented something, right? So it was to test the concept, right? Right now I use user flows, but it was to test the concept for the doing. It was pretty complex system that had to do with stuff that had to do with inventory management, shipping, and storehouses and stuff. So I was like, you know what? let me just quickly do boxes. You understand? This like each box represented each function, right? I did a flow and I sent it down. I'm like, oh, I would like to get a feedback on this flow so I have a conversation. And the first thing I heard is, oh, is this the design so the judge can start? Now, like, excuse me, what? First off, I'm insulted. I think this is my work. This is my best work. And you want to code on. Second of all, this is a wireframe. Like, I made it monochrome for a reason, right? Once you present monochrome to most people, start doing like reflective wireframe, it doesn't work for us here. People, I've seen my friend who works for a company outside the country, and they have processes they have established for a while. And the kind of wireframes he shows before, like these are not high fi, they're like low fi, right? They are like boxes and text put together, and you can see people having serious detailed conversation on these wireframes. My first processing. So it was beside me today when he came to my house today. I was about your house, I'm like, what you guys lucky? All you have to do is actually do wireframing for a few weeks. Test concept, and then you can change. Because once you go high fidelity and check this before, right? It defeats the purpose of the whole process because you have to start making to your components. This
Yeah.
one. That's why these days right now, actually don't design components to get until towards the end of the project. That
You
way,
group everything together.
yes, I just want to do my components and then like apply across board, right? Like it means the last 2 days are tasking for me, it's like grunt work, but it's just less headache for me than actually going to edit components and it's just
For the wireframe, so the one where I have issues against, at least when it comes to working with teams, like for me, I do it, but I don't show members of my team because they don't find it important, or most people I've worked with don't find it important. So me, I do it when it comes to like deliverables. It's not my deliverable because I know you won't get it. There's no point showing you if you are still going to ask me a stupid question. So
I do use Afflows now, Mirror.
that one is even, I think people even rate that one more than wireframes. And for the wireframes, if it's the one on paper, if it's the one on Chikuka, is just like, no. You guys are saying. I've had somebody, I sent wireframe to someone.
I totally agree.
I sent wireframe to someone, like the product owner, and he was like, okay. Let us see what the final design looks like. I'm like, we are supposed to talk the talk now, like before final design reach. No, before final design reach, go talk.
That one's for your pocket.
Exactly.
You have to pour the color. You have to pour the color inside.
True. And another time I worked with that one, the product owner was like, "Oh, yeah, approve, no problem. It's good, it's good." When we design finish, I don't really think. No, now. Like, you approved the wireframes. Like, the worst part was that one was not even wireframes. It was like low fidelity mockup. So it was like the boxes and the ash and gray boxes all around. And I did like almost, I think, 25 of that. Only for somebody to tell me that approve, let's move on. And when we moved on, the person was like, no. I'm like, you saw it. Like, what is the point of doing it when you actually don't think it's important and you don't understand it? So when it comes to deliverables for designers within Nigeria or maybe Africa, I would say wireframes is a no because people don't visually think like that. And if people don't understand it, there's no point showing them that as a deliverable because if you're not passing any information, just keep it in your notepad.
Yeah.
I'll just like to point out that I just noticed how young people can look. This is just me pointing out randomly that I noticed how young people can look. But let's go on. What's your input on that? You saw it on me? All right.
Oh my
I'm
God.
going to let that go, no?
Yeah,
I'm going to let that go.
I had I had to remove all the hair that I had. I'm traveling tomorrow, so I don't want. I need to look young and humble myself so that I can avoid marriage talk. You know.
We'll talk about that off camera. You know, serious. So I know you do a lot of wireframing, like a lot. I've worked with you on, I don't know, I've lost count of the projects and stuff I've done together, right? I also you enough to know that wireframing is part of your process. So how do you navigate that And how does it not cut into your time? Like, doesn't become time wasting based on the particular challenges you just mentioned?
Hmm. So I think for me it depends on what I want to achieve. The amount of time that I put into it, right, depends on my purpose for doing it, right? So if I am working with if I'm working on a project for a client or somebody that does not necessarily grasp what wireframes are, fidelity or fidelity, I basically just do that to get a direction for my design. And once I am once I am comfortable or confident in that direction, I move to high-fi. Like I might not need to finish the entire product in mid fidelity, but there are also times where I have finished the entire product in mid fidelity first, and that was because the client actually understood to some extent the purpose of mid fidelity, right? And just wanted to test out, early enough to just kind of make sure that we're going the right way and make iterations on mid fidelity for actually investing so much time on high fidelity. And I've also done sketches. Usually, a lot of the time, it's just lack of understanding, right, and use for these things. If you're able to make them maybe understand or maybe involve them in the process, for instance, just like the way you have sprints involving stakeholders in the process where you have this time during sprint where everybody sketches out screens based on the flow that maybe you guys have agreed on, right? And you now tell people, management, team, other team members, everybody sketch out what you think this page should look like. So before you do that, usually you tell them, okay, you know what, let's take a couple of minutes, maybe 30 minutes ish. Look at other people that are doing what we want to do. Look at different products, blah 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 blah. And you now say, okay, since we've looked at different products, this is our flow. Sketch out what you think this screen should look like, right? In that moment, they actually find value in the sketches because they understand the purpose, right? If you say, let's test the sketches, there's so they keyed in to some extent. You now have to tell them, okay, this is a value you would get in testing the sketches, maybe, right? But most of our Nigerian people, they coconut head and timeline, they're always in a hurry. Investors are always
You're always choking them.
yeah, investors are they always they hurry to launch. They want to launch, you know. But they don't know that these things actually help you by the time you get to it helps. There are certain decisions that this thing helps you to get clarity on, right?
Yeah.
Sketches and low fidelity. If it's just for the designer, there's a purpose for it. There are certain decisions it helps you get clarity on. Like for me, it helps me get clarity on the direction of the design, right? For stakeholders, it helps them get clarity on maybe if this is actually something worth working on from the onset, right? And this is something that companies like maybe Google, like you know, do a lot, like a lot, a lot. They don't invest so much time in the hi-fi. They invest so much time in the basics, the fundamental, the structure, and that is what the sketches are supposed to help you do. Get the structure right, get the basics right, get the foundation right, right? There are 5 levels-ish. There's structure, there's surface, there's skeleton, there is I've forgotten the remaining two. Right. I've forgotten the remaining two. But essentially, these different fidelities help you gain clarity on different things, right? Different points in time. So I think we need to do a lot more work in actually teaching people. And a lot of the time, it's not just to talk story, like actually involve them. You know this thing where maybe client gives us work and everybody just locks up until the deadline reaches, and then you get back to the client, it's finished design, and then they start telling you, my wife does not like orange, she likes pink, or the user, you know, it's not even the user again. It's, I don't like this. I don't think this should be here.
Yeah, most of the MVP, there's no care about the user.
This is not for you. This is for people, right? This is for people, and that's I know that your MVP is actually supposed to care for the users. Like that is the whole idea of MVP. It's supposed to have something very small that you can iterate on really, 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 really fast. And people that understand that concept, they move very fast. And you find out that even though the product maybe is not fine or something, but it's functional and they work and they're actually still doing volumes in terms of users or customers or transactions. And you have this person whose design is very beautiful, very nice, very lovely. He has put all the features of face stack, all the features of Flutter with everything, mono, everything, wise from one product, right? And then you find it difficult.
Add they go.
You understand? And then you find it difficult to acquire customers. And you have this person who has like 20 different button colors on his product and is already doing maybe 200 and has like maybe 3,000 customers, right?
That one even paying. They've already developed the app, so
that means a solid business model that's tested now.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And it means that they're actually solving a problem for people. See, if that thing is solving the problem, no matter how hard or uncomfortable it is, people will stick to it.
Yeah.
They might not stick to it forever, but they will stick to it for a while until they have a better solution. Right?
I was speaking to a co-founder of a fintech. It's pretty small, like London and anything, right? But he's doing that a few thousands of dollars already. And how are they even testing their business model? They're using Excel sheets. Like they're working on their platform, but they're using Excel sheets already and they're already moving that one. I'm like, okay. Like that's interesting. The way we have thought to look at products for a while has always been there has to be an app, there has to be a way to
you be dashboard for the company.
And that's why you even have a lot of guessing in terms of, you see, some of these things, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't do them in the very fundamental way, right, or the basic way, you now find out that even in your information structure or your content or your information architecture, there's a problem. You're even showing things that people don't want to see. I've had that problem before, right? I was stuck on the dashboard and I was thinking, what metrics should I show? Right? What is actually important to these people? I am not actively a professional in this. I'm not even a professional in this field. So it's hard for me to think of metrics that is important to them. I can think of things, there are things that come to my mind based off the fact that I've designed different products and there are like general things that maybe you feel like people want to see. Like for instance, maybe let's take a fintech app, for example. You might feel that people want to see total number of transactions or balance, stuff like that. Pretty standard things that off the top of your head, you feel like, okay, this is actually important information. And you now put it in front of people and you now realize that this is not even what they are looking for. Is not even top 5. It's not even top 10. I now start hearing some very funny metrics that they measure. You now be like, so I've told me this thing since now. I didn't even factor in how will this product, how will the data inputted into this product produce this metric that you're talking about? Do you understand? So you're now faced with a crisis.
I mean, I think most founders,
right? And
I think for me, most founders actually miss the purpose of MVPs, and they see MVP as a way to come out to the most perfect idea in the whole world, as opposed to MVPs being the tool to actually find out if what you're even doing is a problem that people are willing to pay for. Not really pay in terms of money, but pay in terms of usage or time. or even adaptability or acceptance. Yeah, those are forms of payments as far as I'm concerned for MVPs. And you see people that actually, as in, shout out to all the products that you've designed that, the guy have just kept on adding, and 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 version 1 never launched for Play Store. But you don't add like 25 different
There are two people.
features.
There are two people. There are two people. There are two people are working there. They are watching this. They know it's their sub. They know it's their sub.
Guy, that's
Because
so
like, I
bad.
mean, there's something. There was something we started designing. I don't know when was it, like last year, I guess. And I remembered that feature was still added this like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, I remember like, when are you guys going to about finish building this thing? It makes no sense, right? I'm fortunate to be
Guy.
working somewhere where I have one of the most amazing PMs I've ever encountered. And what happened to us is we had like a discovery session where we listed every kind of function feature of work, listed it totally. We had like a user storyboard. Users were able to do this X, Y, Z. Listed it like we're like, are you done? Are you satisfied? Say yes. Then we started like scaling this back for MVP. Like, what is important for this MVP? What is important for this product? You understand? Right now we have we set our timeline. It is, let's say it's 4 months, right? What and from a board that had over 100 and some user stories, we have an MVP now, which is less than 35 user stories. It's like, it's just pretty straightforward. I'm like, does this suffice? Like, for now, is this good enough to like launch the business model? Say yes. But there's some things where we say, okay, maybe dev should have made you optimize. I said, no worry, we'll do a manual now. Since we're going to be testing with at most a handful of businesses, 20, right? It's not a lot, you get, but it helps you actually test your business model, generate revenue, right? And then you can start maybe even hiring to building these other features, which could be nice to have also.
Yeah, I know a startup
So yeah,
that has been they existed for like more than 3 years, and they've done like millions in sales. Like, I have nothing less than, maybe off the top of my head, nothing less than like 2,000 to maybe even 5,000, 10,000 subscribers. And guy, they are using Excel sheets for customer what they call that thing? Customer resolution, that is to pay customers back. Excel sheet. And it's not as if they don't want an internal tool. It's like all those things are really, really fancy. And people just think, you see Spotify is showing their model of how they work. This company is showing their design system. Like, I want to be like that. Like, you just die in the circle of adding. Stay. Like, I know some of my friends that are eating well on side hustles that I've never launched over a year, and they are still there. And I'm like, wait, what they do? This month they will come up, we need this, we need this, we need this. And you see the founders, you see them, they'll keep paying for Postman, they'll keep paying for space on Amazon. I'm like, they try again, because it doesn't actually make sense. I think Shaman actually said something to that. At the end of the day, is knowing the purpose of why you're doing that exact thing. Like, is it for a wireframe? Is it for, like, I know if I'm going to do a wireframe for a Nigerian project that I get, I know that the purpose is not to what's the name, to make the CEO understand, is to make him just have an idea of progress going on in the project, and not like understand where the project is going. So you should just know that, okay, I'm making progress and I'm getting closer to where we are going. That would be my own purpose. So if you know the purpose of each exact tool, like, no tool is like is constant. Like, depends on the way you use them and what you're using them for. You could decide to twist, edit, add your own style, and get your own results. That's why, like, no one thing fits everyone.
I
I just
agree with
wanted to
you.
talk
And
about
that,
Google Analytics. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
sorry, you're saying?
I still wanted to talk about Google Analytics. Yeah, sorry, but you're saying something.
No, please go ahead. I'm just saying
Google
I was saying that's a good conclusion. I was about to say that's a good conclusion for this meetup, but please, this Google Analytics sounds interesting.
Please, I want to hear what he has to say.
Yes.
Okay, so there was this project where I did like a UX audit on their website, and I had no access to their users. It was a chemical. It's all these engineering tools, all these. I'll have an explain. So the company actually works as a the partner for all these companies that do all these robotic space kind of things, and they had a website where they sell all those things that have complicated names, all those hardware, something names like that. Sites that I will not go to. If I mistakenly enter, I'll intentionally go out. Sites like that people that would be visiting the website are like doctors, PhD holders that understand all those benzene of them, all those kind of bullshit things, and they're not bullshit, but yeah, all those difficult things. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it. So we actually noticed that they spent a lot on campaign on doing Facebook ads, directing them to the sale page. But from Google Analytics, we noticed that when people went to the sales page, you had like 70% drop off rate. Like they were
That's
leaving,
a mad bounce rate.
they were leaving they were leaving the site and just going off. And we found out that the remaining 20-something% that stayed went back to the home page. They went from the home page to another product page. They went to the About Us page, and they came back to that exact same page that was the first page they came into the site with. And
so that means there's something wrong.
Yeah, and you see that those of them that actually spend the 29-something% that went to other pages actually spent an average of 3 to 5 minutes on that page before they left. I'm like, 5 minutes on a page? I don't understand. Am I reading Joey Akan's article?
Shout out to Joey Aka.
Yeah, shout out to Joey Aka. Like, I love the long articles there, but man, I set time aside to read those things. So, and we actually understood that even while the sites were for technical people, we actually saw that those things were a lot for them to read, because most of them actually came or saw those ads as a result of their search history and things that they've used their browsers for. So they were seeing ads like that on Facebook. And when it came to the site, they themselves, that were the technical people that are supposed to understand these things, dropped off because it was a lot of information. Guy, the page was like, when you write 5 pages reports, all these CBN people, they write reports.
So that is just poor content formatting then. That is like really poor content formatting.
Yeah, so I think another thing we ignore, or I don't think I've seen designers use so much, is analytics, Google Analytics. They just leave it to the marketing guys.
Where they want to use them? Where you use them?
Don't be person sabi the use good.
I tell you, guys. How many things you guys want designers to learn?
Yeah.
Want designers to learn.
My brother, small, JJ.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for setting time. Thank you very much for setting time aside today. I really appreciate the time. Young Chukuka, young L.
I be small pikin.
Thank you. Small pikin. 30 plus is saying small pikin. Thank you for your time also. I really appreciate. I hope we'll be having another one. I hope we'll have another one within the month or by next month, hopefully. And then we'll talk again and bring more of these amazing stories. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Yep. Thanks to everyone who keyed into the live stream. This is IDF Kaduna, and these my other co-IDF members and friends and designers. We hope to have a larger group to discuss next time. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Yep.